Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Paul Smedberg, and for the past 9 years, I've had the honor of serving on City Council. I believe I've governed through exercising qualities that assure reasoned, efficient, and sensible answers to the issues that are facing our increasingly complex urban environment. I bring responsible leadership to Council by tackling the fiscal challenges that the city faces, asking tough questions, and demanding accountability, and improving our quality of life to make Alexandria an even better place to live and work. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Justin Wilson, the Democratic nominee for City Council, and I want to thank all of you for being here today. I'm running for City Council because I want to make sure that we protect the fiscal and physical infrastructure of this city on to the next decade. I'm running for City Council because I want to ensure that we provide new transportation options to ease the effects of congestion on our residents. And most importantly, as a parent of two, one in the public schools, I'm running for City Council because I want to make sure that every child in this city has an opportunity to succeed. Graduating from TC ready to compete in the 21st century economy, and starting kindergarten ready to learn. Thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to your questions.
Good evening, I'm Bob Wood, and I welcome all of you here in the shadow of what I call the largest planning failure in the city, BRAC 133. It's time for a change. I see no reason why a great city can't have great schools consistently. I see no reason why the citizens have to fight City Hall to find their history at Fort Ward and prevent it from being concreted over on waterfront. I see no reason at all why we don't celebrate our citizens instead of stifle them in the public forum. Reset City Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. I've already been reminded if you do applaud, it will take time away from the candidates. But like I said, I don't mind hearing a little bit from the audience, so I'll leave that up to you to decide, but there's your warning. Okay, so we're going to start off with a very broad topic for each of you, and then we're going to get to some more specific topics. So this is kind of your one chance at being Miss America, and then from then on out, it is more like being the director of the OMB. So the first question that we're going to direct to each of you, starting with you, Mr. Chapman, is if you are elected or re-elected, what is the one issue facing Alexandria that would be your top priority for you personally to tackle? And the second part of the question, which I really like, how would you measure your success at the end of your 3-year term? And Mr. Chapman, as I said, we'll start with you.
I have a background in education. Right now I work for Fairfax County Public Schools as an educator, and my big issue is ensuring that our schools move forward. We talked about it for decades. I've lived here for decades, and we've always had an issue with our school system. I think we need to move past that. And one of the ways I see moving past that is having somebody on council with an education administrator background that can really push the conversation that our schools are having, can ensure that we have access to pre-K, can make sure that we have quality out-of-school time programs for our kids, and can make sure that the programs and services that the city provides connect with what the school system is doing and what's needed for our students. The way you measure that is by the success that our students have. When they come out of TC, what do they look like? Are they ready to get a job in our community, not another community, but in our community? Because our community is a highly educated one, so we need to make sure that our graduates are ready to work with us.
Thank you. Ms. Davis?
Yes. Being a licensed teacher, I have a passion for education, and one thing that I would like to see is that each teacher in the classroom have all the resources that they need in order to make the project that they're working on successful. I mean, if you have funding, but you don't have all the resources you need, then there's no way you can accomplish the goal. And since I retired, I have been doing some studying in the Alexandria City School, and I've seen this firsthand, where teachers do not have all the resources, and that would be one area I would certainly look at. And another passion of mine is ethical behavior. I want to make sure that all city employees are held accountable for their ethical behavior, and I don't want there to be any exception to the rule. I think everyone should be held accountable from the top to the bottom. Thank you.
Mr. Fannin. If you will allow me, we have a word from our sponsors, because everyone here is good citizens. If you are the driver of the Volkswagen Vanagon, license plate number 927-4BH, you've left your lights on. Mr. Hammond, thank you.
Being a member of the city council, you're one of the trustees of the city. The city is a business that's being run. It's a $566 million annual budget. This city budget is almost double in the last 11 years, and that's one of the reasons I got on the city council. The city council between 2003 and 2008 was on a spending spree just like the American public, and we have $400 million in city debt that we need to pay off over time. Growth and development is very important in this city, and having smart commercial development along with housing projects is very important as we move forward. Ethics reform has also been very important, as Ms. Davis mentioned. I put a program forward at City Hall for ethics reform that all the city employees need to take ethics tests online. We've had too many incidents of employee misconduct here in the city. Another issue that I have with the schools is that we've gone from 10,000 students to 13,000 students here in the city of Alexandria schools. And we need to make sure that we're educating just the children of Alexandria and not children from other jurisdictions that are coming in here.
My top priority if re-elected to City Council will be the preservation of neighborhood integrity and all of the elements and aspects that make this a special place to live. While I'd love to, as a former teacher, claim it to be education, I believe that in looking at neighborhood integrity, that does encompass the schools. The responsibility of City Council primarily is the budget. We can work at closing the minority achievement gap potentially by looking at funding early childhood education far more robustly than we do and working with our schools and the community to do that. But in looking at neighborhood integrity and the preservation of it and the things that make us special, that means incorporating more neighborhood and community activism in the planning process and not having residents feel as though City Council and City Hall is doing one thing that's in opposite to what the communities would actually want. So that would be a focus of mine on City Council, keeping people first. Thank you.
Hi. Again, I'm angry. I'm angry because the city has a spending addiction. Mr. Vannon hinted towards that and is still continuing today. Since 2007, the city has increased its budget by $100 million. That comes out of my pocket and your pocket. As homeowners, I want to audit the city. I want to look at every single bill the city pays, every contract, every program. And I want to audit it, and I want to get the spending back down to 2007 levels and return $1,400 to every homeowner's pocket. And I need your help. If you are a homeowner, if you are a city employee, a no wasted program, if you are a contractor, a no government contract, I want you to go to auditalexandria.com. That's auditalexandria.com. Sign up today. Tell me what we need to get rid of in the city to get our budget back to 2007 and put $1,400 a year back in your pocket.
My one issue would be to use my transportation expertise to help bring smart growth, more smart growth to Alexandria. This is a set of principles that's been used by hundreds of communities around the world as a way to handle development pressures in ways that can actually reduce traffic and improve the quality of life. It involves mixed-use development, so people can walk to a lot of what they need. And transit-oriented development, so that people can have attractive transit options to get the other things that they need. It also means integrating our transportation and land use planning, so that you look at transportation first. Mark Center's a good example of just doing it the wrong way, when it was rezoned in the 90s to that level of density without the transportation infrastructure to support it. So I think that focus on smart growth is where I would place my greatest emphasis. And also, I think, especially for transportation, I would work to help us to think regionally more than we do. Actually connect our high-capacity transit to high-capacity transit in our neighboring jurisdictions. So transportation would be my focus.
As I said during my introduction, the greatest resource in the city is its people. A lot of people feel like when decisions are made, it's city council members that win, it's developers that wins, but it's the people that lose. In my opinion, that seems to contradict what representation is about. I understand that's important for council members to make decisions on podiums like this, But what happened to the days when decisions were developed and made outside of people like you? As a council member, I want to continue and find ways to make government more accessible through social media, through interaction with the people, through going to town hall meetings, civic associations, baseball games, to be where the people are in order to make decisions. Thank you.
What I would be interested in doing is making sure that the implementation of the small area plans that we have in place are followed through and realized. For example, Landmark Mall has had a small area plan for how long, the Landmark Mall and the Van Dorn corridor, for so long, and it's time now that this underachieving mall be moved forward. So that's one of the things. The other thing is that I would want to ensure that the amenities that have been promised in other small area plans, that we get them, that the bucket list that has been promised is actually fulfilled. Things such as on the Beauregard small area plan, for example, let's see some of those 800 affordable housing units. Let's see that fire station getting started, and that's how we'll know if I'm succeeding or not, if some of these things move forward. Thank you.
I believe that first we must have a core vision of who we are and where we're going, and then a plan rather than the other way around. And I think that if that had been the case, then the waterfront plan, while improved over time, simply was not visionary enough, in my opinion. And as far as Bragg, I feel that that's, I agree with Bob, that it's an unmitigated disaster, that we need more transparency and public involvement throughout the process so that people are involved from the beginning of the discussion to the end. This is a critical point so that people feel like they are heard, but not just feel that they are heard, but that they are heard. And if we had a shared core vision, then I think that the city could move forward on many different fronts, and this is critical. And of course, fiscal responsibility is a big part of that as well for our city and our future.